live episode of Talk Shit. Hey, how's it going, everybody? We're here live with Talk Shit TV and Talk Shit Radio. I got Paul Kavanaugh, our host, on the phone. He's on a special assignment with some very interesting news. Paul, say hello to everybody. Make sure they can hear you.
Hey, everybody. How you doing?
All right, good.
Yeah. You got me over there? You able to pick me up?
Yeah, we got you loud and clear here at the station, Paul. Why don't you tell us a little about these new developments you've come across, and that's what we'll base this show on tonight. And if you're out there and you're listening and you want to call in, lines are open. We'll add you to the call. It's 352-410-2084.
All right, this is basically a situation. I know we were supposed to be doing this as a third part of the drug war, but the last week or so, I've been caught a little piece of information, and it just kept leading to more information. If you've been following the page, there's been some posts with some links and all that on the Facebook page. But basically, there's been you might have caught it on the news in your own city or whatever. There's been joint military and police scenario games going, basically, war games going on in cities across the whole country, major cities. And I thought this was really strange. This had never been done before. Plus, with the militarization, the buildup of the police departments lately, all the armored vehicles and the stuff they're doing, and everything was just really weird. So I decided to start looking into it.
And this is something we spoke about in our last show as well.
Yeah, exactly. It kind of links to the last show, and it actually does, because the drug war is one of the excuses they were using for all this armament that they're doing.
Now, explain what you mean by armament, Paul, so our listeners have an idea.
All right. Well, they're going all military-grade everything. I mean, basically, they've got the armored vehicles that the military's giving them for free. They've got the same thing our soldiers would wear over in Iraq. They've got them now, only they're, marked with police force stuff. Basically, they've been militarized, just like our military. And, this stuff started bothering me. Between that and what these little war game scenario practices they've been doing in cities around the country, I'm thinking, gee, they can't even afford to close our border down and patrol our border, but they can afford all this? That just doesn't make sense. So I started looking into it, trying to figure something out, and I'm noticing, you can go to YouTube if you hit one of those links that's on the page of, some, soldiers speak out and whatnot.
Yeah, there's quite a few of those links out there as well.
Yeah, once you get on there and you go and check this YouTube, I must have cruised like 400 of these videos, and it's just really weird. There's all these mass troop movements throughout the nation, armored vehicles and tanks and everything everywhere. Trainloads by the trainloads. I mean, just shipping military gear all over the country.
Now, for those of you, not to interrupt you, Paul, for those of you that did watch the show last week, I did mention exactly what Paul's talking about right now. I'm sorry, Paul, go ahead.
Yeah, and the more and more I'm getting into this, and I'm listening to soldiers that are speaking out, and they're scared and they're nervous, and then this is going on, and soldiers are leaving and joining militias and this, that, and the other thing, and I'm just getting this impression, there's no doubt something's going on. They're prepping to do something. There's one video I came across that in Chicago and Ohio, 2 truckers that were shipping stuff for the government, and they peeked in and weren't supposed to, but these were truckloads of signs for martial law, like no trespassing signs for martial law. And one guy who was on the one thing that I got a hold of online.
So this is a whole truckload of signs, is what you're saying?
Of signs, truckloads.
Oh my God! He was
just one truck driver. One was in Illinois and one was in Ohio. That came out. So there were other guys driving trucks that didn't talk about it.
So it's not just one incident.
Yeah, it's just not just 1 and 2. These were just 2 guys that came out and spoke about it, and you know what I'm saying. And I guess their boss had told them, they're for another country, and then they asked, well, how come they're in English then?
Yeah.
And their boss was like, well, that's a good question. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we're shipping them overseas, but they're all in English.
Yeah, they're all in English, and they're all in
the
Midwest, Ohio and Illinois. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And the one guy said, and the one guy said, he's like, it just doesn't make any sense why we ship them to another country. He's like, I'm out in the Midwest. He's like, why would they be shipping them to other countries? Like, we don't get Abrams tanks or anything coming through here headed to Iraq or Afghanistan. You know what I'm saying? Why are these signs coming through?
Yeah, the last I checked, the Abrams tanks come out of New Orleans or Louisiana area down south. And get shipped out from Texas or there. So, yeah.
So I'm looking into it. And I'm finding things foreign troops in America already, Russian, Chinese troops. I know that we years ago during the Clinton administration, I remember when this happened. It was a big stink. Clinton closed down the only real deep water port we got out by California. Well, it just came out that it was sold to China.
Really?
And our government sold that one deep water port to China. And then I also found out that there's Chinese ships just kind of like waiting off of the coast of California.
Very interesting.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? It's just a little suspicious, and they own a deep water port right there in California.
Now, if you're someone like myself and like yourself, you're now at the point going, why is this? What do we need other military here in our waters?
Yeah, well, not only that, I've also found one of the things that videos I've seen where different clips of people around the country filming with their phones and stuff, of course, of these trainloads of armored vehicles and tanks and Bradleys and all this stuff going everywhere. You know, some that were going out to the desert were in desert colors. Some that were out this way were in green, forest, mountain colors or whatever. But then there was a trainload going through Georgia that was armored ambulances, I think it was, that were Chinese, and they still had the Republic of China symbol on them.
Really?
Exactly. So now I'm really suspect. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, all right, something is definitely up here. Catch another one, and I even Google Earthed it. There's thousands of UN vehicles in a secluded airfield outside of Jacksonville, Florida, and you could literally see them all there with Google Earth.
Yeah, we're going to try and get the coordinates to that as well, and I'll post that up on Talk Shit later.
Yeah, it'd probably be a good idea. Of course, then again, maybe they've taken it off by now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, the minute they realize that we know about it and we're talking about it and we're letting our listeners know, it's gone.
Yeah, they're going to yank it.
Mm-hmm.
But then, so I'm following it, and I'm following it, and I'm following it, and I can't figure out now. Everything's leading to something's getting ready to happen, and they know something's getting ready to happen. That's why they're doing all these war games around the city. That's why all this equipment's being shipped around. Including signs that say martial law and all this stuff.
So now, with all of this, all right, we know that something big is being led up to. All right, it's obvious. You can see that.
There was just no denying it. There's something going on in it, and you know what kind of person I am. At this point, it's driving me crazy. I've got to know. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I've got to know what they're doing.
Inquisitive minds. Right.
And so I'm looking into it, and I just keep getting more and more and more signs that, they're getting ready to wage war on us, but why? You know what I'm saying? There's people talking about they're getting ready to declare martial law, they're getting ready to, and then, FEMA camps, they do exist. FEMA now has, and ready to go, 102,000 railroad boxcars equipped with shackles.
Now, for those of you who are wondering, well, sure, FEMA camps. Well, we're getting ready for hurricane season. Wrong. Very wrong. They're getting ready to lock up people. Am I wrong?
Yeah. No, you're not wrong, because if you see these FEMA camps, it's not like just a nice little pleasant area with a bunch of FEMA trailers in it.
I've seen them. I cleaned up Hurricane Katrina. I spent 18 months cleaning that mess up. I've seen FEMA camps, okay?
Yeah, no, the FEMA camps don't have, barbed wire fence and guard towers.
Exactly. Exactly.
They don't. I mean, I went through and did a little bit of stuff through Katrina, and I was working for a trucking company they passed through there right after it happened. And, that's not what a FEMA camp looks like. A FEMA camp is, just a bunch of trailers. You know what I'm saying? It's not barbed wire fences and guard towers. And I'm like, man, what the hell is going on? And everybody's talking this martial law stuff. I'm like, what is going to happen? And I keep hearing about false flags, because everybody hates being labeled a conspiracy theorist, but they're going to nuke this and they're going to cause martial law and they're going to lock everybody up in these FEMA camps, and their FEMA camps are all over the United States and Canada.
See, here's my big question. Okay, when you say FEMA camps and they're all over the nation, okay, how are they disguised? Do you drive down the road and can you see one of these, or you know what I'm saying? Can you pull right up and?
No, you can't pull. They already have military guards on them and stuff.
Okay,
the pics and leaks and stuff. I mean, even Glenn Beck got fired from Fox News Network because he went out to debunk the FEMA camp thing.
Really?
And came back. Because Glenn Beck no longer works for Fox News Network. He comes back. I've watched some of his newer shows. He's doing his own thing now. But and I seen the a couple episodes leading up to him getting fired. He was doing, he was a guest on like the morning show with Hannity and all them, and he had said, I went out to try and debunk them, and they said, well, did you debunk them? He's like, well, no. He's like, I can't say that they're not there. They are there. And then they said, well, what do you think about it? He said, well, if you trust the government, he's like, it's fine. But if you don't trust the government, he's like, you might be a little upset about it. And then he said, I'll talk more about it on my show tonight. So then they went to his show that night, and he said, I can't talk. I'm not going to be able to do the show on the FEMA camps tonight because I don't have all the information, and I don't want to give you guys, half-assed stuff.
Sure.
And then he turns and looks right in the camera. And he goes, "Please help me. They're making me say this."
Ah, see?
Bam! He gets fired.
Nice.
Yeah, exactly. At least he got it out. You know what I'm saying?
That right there is the first example of why this show exists, because there are no greater forces telling us what we can and can report. When we find the news, we will report it.
Exactly. I wouldn't do it if it was that way. I won't have any part of it.
No. Definitely not. And that's why we have Paulie tonight out of the studio and on a special assignment.
We're actually, doing a little preparing for some things here, because once I finally get to the end of this story, people might be wanting to freak out a little bit. Matter of fact, I'm actually kind of watching outside, because everything I've heard about people who try and get this information out, bad things have been happening. But, basically, I keep going through this, it's just more and more information. If you people don't believe me, get on YouTube and just go check it out, you know what I'm saying? Go check out Start With Militias or something, and then, we'll just give you all these extra links, and there's just so many. I must have burned through 400 videos in over the last
please,
week.
don't take our words for it, people. I mean, the information is out there. Everybody can go see it for themselves, that's for sure.
Exactly.
We are what we are considering just a vessel. We're bringing you the information and making you aware of it, and that's all. That's what we can do.
Exactly.
Yep.
So I'm looking and I'm looking and I'm looking, and I still can't figure out what it is. What are they fucking getting ready for? And arguing with somebody yesterday about, I keep telling everybody, the American dollar's done. It's not gonna. We're not gonna be as rich as we were. It's done. It's just a matter of time before it affects us. And everybody's, oh no, blah, blah, blah. And I kept telling them, I said, what you don't realize is that the whole world's money is our money, and OPEC, the oil organization that all the oil producing countries like in the Middle East and all that they have the organization called OPEC.
Yep.
In order for a country to buy oil and stuff from them, or if a country needs to buy something and have it shipped into their country, they have to use American dollars.
Really?
That's why. Yes, that's the way the system works. I don't know if that many people are really aware of that. But
so if you're another country and you want to buy oil from these certain countries from this organization,
or you want to buy food from another country,
you have to pay in American dollars.
In American dollars. That's why our currency is good all over the world. If you go to Europe or you go here, you go there, you very rarely do these travelers change over their currency to the local currency, because the American dollar is good everywhere. Because in order for a country to buy goods and have them brought in, they have to keep stocks of the American dollar. We are the global currency.
Sure.
Now, I kept telling people that the dollar's going to collapse. I'm telling you. And blah, blah, blah. And people are arguing. I said, the reason why it's going to collapse is Russia, China, India, Japan, South Korea, Germany. The list goes on and on and on. Basically, half the planet last year decided they're no longer using the American dollar, and they've made deals with other people. Now, they've made deals, backdoor deals on us.
Yep.
And matter of fact, the Fed, which the Federal Reserve is not actually part of our government, it's a privately owned bank. They just named it Federal Reserve. Now, they actually did this all behind the Fed's back. Nobody knew that all these countries were doing this, and then bam, they did it. Now, the only reason
that's not something they put out in the mainstream media for everybody to find out. That's for sure. They do it, and then they tell you they did it.
Yeah, and then you hear about it. Exactly. So, I've been arguing with people about this, and everybody's like, you're crazy, blah, blah, blah. And what you have to realize is all this debt we've been going into and the trillions and billions we've been spending, basically we've been just printing money. And the reason why we could do that is because the whole world uses our money. So we could just print whatever the hell we wanted, and that's what we did.
With no source to back it.
with no source to back it. We haven't been a gold standard since before the 30s.
Yeah.
We haven't had a gold standard. You can look into your own dollar, an old pull out dollar bill. If it does not have a little blue stamp that says silver certificate, and it is not backed by anything. Just that simple.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know that.
Forever. Yeah, and most people don't know that. I've known that forever. But we haven't been on the gold standard in a long time. I've argued with people that so many times, and they go, I don't know what I'm talking about, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Well, everybody's going to get a real figuring out here real quick when I get to the end of my story. You know, they ain't got much time. There's only about 12 or 13 days left yet.
And now listen to what he just said, folks, and I really want you to pay attention to the rest of what he's going to say. We only have about 12 or 14 days left for the reality of the world that we know. I'm sorry?
Yeah, 13 days. We have 12 days left. By the 13th day is the day it's probably all going to kick in.
Yep. Now let's explain to them where we're going with all of this.
All right. Like I said, I'm looking, I'm researching. Well, I happen to be arguing with somebody on Facebook about the fact the dollar's going to collapse. I'm figuring by the end of the year, sometime next year, it's going to collapse. You know what I'm saying? I see it coming.
Mm-hmm.
And while I'm cruising through the news feed, I see a little clip from Bay News 9 says, July 1st, America switches to global currency.
Global currency.
And I didn't pay any attention to it at first. And I'm still arguing with this guy. And then I went back to look at it and to use it as a point to say, I'm telling you, because, you know, why are we switching to a global currency if, you know what I'm saying, if the American dollar is just fine? And I can't find that post anywhere. So then I go to the website. And it's not, I can't find nothing about it in there. I'm like, now why would they do that? So I try Googling shit. I'm like, all right, global currency, nothing. You know what I'm saying? American dollar.
It's gone.
Nothing. There's nothing. Well, finally I put in the whole phrase. America changes global currency July 21st, and it takes me to all these investment web pages. So now I'm digging, and I'm finding out that everybody's panicking about this law that has been passed, H.R. 2847. And everybody's talking about it like it's the end of the world. You know what I'm saying? It's going to break us, blah, 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 on all these financial sites. And I'm thinking, now what the hell is this? And I finally get to this thing where this one financial guy has this whole spiel, explains everything to the T, and anybody can go check it out. It's about almost 2 hours long. Just listen to it.
Just, not to interrupt you real quick, if you just Google HR space 2847, first one that comes up, first one, Snopes.com, HR 2847, July 1st, 2014, the U.S. dollar will officially go to global currency.
Exactly. See, what happened is they buried it and not told anybody about this law being passed. And that's not the only, the people in it, and I'm going to tell you about what's actually some of the stuff that's in this law here in a little bit. And people will freak out. But, and you can go to hear the whole full details. I think it's endofamerica.com, and it's this financial whiz, you know, one of the best financial men in the world, had put this thing on there. And of course, it was an advertisement at the end to sell some of his stuff. But he explained to everybody what's going on.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And he's basically selling a way to basically to try and hedge your funds to keep from going broke when this happens.
Yeah. Yep.
But see, on July 21st or July 1st, this law goes into effect, H.R. 2847. This law goes into effect. And basically, because they haven't told anybody that the dollar is going to collapse, see, I didn't think it was coming this quick. It caught me off guard. You know
all right, so this article that I'm looking at right now was posted in April, okay? And it says write down this date, July 1st, 2014. On this date, U.S. House Representative Bill H.R. 2847 goes into effect. It will usher the true collapse of the U.S. dollar and will make millions of Americans poorer overnight. You now have just several months to prepare. Well, we only have days now.
Days now.
Yep.
And basically, what this law has passed is it has made it legal at this time on July 1st to basically seize all of our funds. They are going to nationalize 401ks. They are going to be locking down your banks. Your bank accounts. I mean, at the very best, in order to keep your money in your savings account, you're going to have to pay like a 10 to 15, 20% tax on your bank account. They're basically going to try and seize the wealth of the people on this day. When that law makes it legal for them to do it. H.R. 2847 makes it legal for them to do it.
Wow.
And that's why they've been shipping these troops everywhere and these martial law signs and, all these foreign troop stuff, UN vehicles.
They're expecting war.
They're expecting march. They're probably, because you got to figure how are people going to react because nobody knows about this. I mean, look, it took me the kind of person I am. Yeah. It took me 12 days till 12 days beforehand. I found out started digging into it last week. It took me a week to find out what it is.
I would love to get my hands on that article you originally found on Bay News 9 and see who wrote it and see how long that person's around or alive, for that matter.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. They've been really, think about it. Once I seen that about that law, I sat, let's say, probably about a day and a half now, constantly watching like Fox News and CNN, and nobody's even said a word about it. And we're talking it's 12 days away. The 13th day is July 1st. 13 days from now will be July 1st. You got 12 days to prepare.
Wow.
And nobody's saying a word about this. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? And now I'm panicking. You know what I'm saying? That's why I'm not in the studio today. Now I'm making some preparations. You know what I'm saying? I'm getting some people together, family. I actually called because my family owns a franchise down here, and I actually called them and got them on this. They're like, oh, I haven't heard anything about that, blah, blah, blah.
Right,
Because I'm a street person, they don't think, they invest in all that stuff. They got money. And because I'm a street person, they don't think I know what I'm talking about. And then I told them, and all of a sudden I can't get a hold of them anymore. I think they're trying to diversify their funds.
Yeah, by diversify, he means shove it all under the mattress real quick.
Well, the paper ain't even going to be worth nothing, man. That's the problem.
Now we'll be using it to start fires with.
Exactly. They're going to go with another system.
Yep.
They're going to switch it over, and all that paper money we got is going to be worth nothing.
Unreal.
I mean, at best, you're probably going to be like 30 cents on the dollar, 50 cents maybe if you're lucky.
Wow. And this is the country we live in, folks. This is the people we vote for. These are where our tax dollars that we spend, all that money that comes out of your paycheck at the end of the year when you get to see it, that's where it goes, folks. That's where it goes to support things like this. We are paying for our own demise.
Exactly. And I'm telling you, if you get on the YouTube, and there are soldiers that are outraged, and there's so many stories about all these checkpoints and all this shit they're getting ready to pull on us. And basically, a lot of the troops are talking that have switched to militias. They're, telling you, try and take our guns, we're going to fight. That's our Second Amendment, and we're sticking by it.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And so basically, and from what I've seen, what they've been training for, what I found out, what's made me find all the way to this law, all this training they're doing, they're basically going to be going door to door through all the neighborhoods. That's why they're bringing in foreign troops through all the neighborhoods, going door to door, taking your guns, probably taking your money too, because it says they're going to try and seize whatever wealth everybody has.
Key word Paulie just said was foreign troops, because U.S. troops will not police their own people. Well, actually, most of them won't.
One of the things I found out is they've been for a couple of years now giving this thing called the litmus test in the military. And basically it questions the people in the military from high, and this is why we've also fired like so many of our high-ranking officers right now, generals and admirals and all this stuff that have gotten fired so rapidly recently.
Because they don't agree with the way things are going.
Because they know what's going to happen and they won't do it. They did not agree with this litmus test thing. The litmus test basically says, will you fire on American citizens if they refuse to give up their guns? Now, I think it was 21 or 26.34% said yes, 11% said no opinion.
That's
now,
crazy.
the ones that didn't say yes, they're the ones that are over there still overseas or whatever, fighting in Afghanistan or whatever the hell. The ones who said yes are getting cushy jobs here with Department of Homeland Security.
Of course. Absolutely.
Exactly.
High-paying jobs, I would imagine.
Yeah, but if you think about it, with all the training they've done, troops around the fucking country, foreign troops no less, all the equipment being shipped, FEMA camps, railroad boxcars. You know what I'm saying? It's just a little frightening, for all of a sudden.
They're heading for a roundup, and the roundup is going to consist, and it's going to start with the common people like yourself, like myself.
Exactly. Anybody out there that's a convicted felon, you can pretty much consider yourself snatched up. Think about it. Yep. Think about the people they've just added to the terrorist list.
Yeah.
Terrorist list. We now have the Occupy Wall Street kids are terrorists. Militias are terrorists. The Tea Party is terrorists. Yeah. And here's the one that got me. The number one security threat to our nation right now are Christians.
Christians, interesting, very interesting. For those Christians out there that listen to our show, you are the number one threat to our nation.
Terror threat in this country right now.
about God
Praise
coming
the
back?
Yeah, well, what they're worried about is, think about it. The Christians are right wing, and they tend to be extremists. A lot of them, especially out west or in the country areas, they're praise God and let me blow your brains out if you try me.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And that's basically why they tag him as the #1 threat.
Hell, I'm not a Christian, and that's the way I think.
Yeah, well, Americans. I'm a Christian and an American. As far as I'm concerned, this country was fine. I have no particular religion because I'm not going to bicker back and forth about the right and wrong way of to God.
That's a whole other.
I believe in God and Christ and everything else, but and they're basically, like I said, it's unreal. They've got all the laws passed. They passed that one law that allows them to detain anybody indefinitely without due process.
So basically, folks, if you start to see very large construction projects going on and it looks like a wall, that's because it is a wall.
Mm-hmm. And then there's another one here. They passed another law. What was for FEMA? Basically, FEMA now has the right to take anybody they want, make them work for free without compensation, and they can do this during times of emergency and peace.
Interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah.
Federal Emergency Management. Wow.
Yeah, they can take anybody. They can basically round us up and force us to work for no pay during times of emergency or peace.
Well, this is definitely some interesting stuff.
Well, that's what I mean. You look at all the troop movements and everything going on and all the stuff leading up to the laws passed that they're passing, you know what I mean? I'm like, what the hell are they getting ready for?
Yeah.
And then I find out about this new law that's happening on July 1st, and I'm like, oh, well, shit. That's what they're they're building up for. That's what they're doing. No wonder. I mean, nobody's talking about it, and none of these people know about it. What are all these people going to do when they wake up on July 1st, and they wake up that morning, and they aren't allowed to access their bank account?
There's going to be...
And that's actually a tip I heard from one of these underground people, that if you go to your bank and your bank says that you can't access your money, they have a virus at the time, problems with a bank virus, and that you can't access your money, you now have 72 hours to get the fuck out of Dodge before they declare martial law.
Unbelievable.
And they said, and they didn't. The person who leaked that didn't explain why. And so I had no clue why. I'm like, well, it makes sense. Maybe, if they were going to declare martial law, they'd seize the money, stop everybody from getting their money. And then when I found out about this law passed, that HR 2847, and I was like, well, now that makes sense. You know what I'm saying? They're going to seize everybody's wealth. And they're going to get a little 3-day period on it. I bet you July 1st, you wake up. And see, this is probably how to do it, because, July 1st is the date being pumped.
Mm-hmm.
July 1st, everybody's going to wake up, and they're going to go to the bank. And the bank's not going to say, oh, you can't have your money. They're going to say, oh, there's a virus.
I'm sorry, our systems are down. Yep.
Down. Yeah, give us 3 days to have it fixed.
Yep.
And by that third day, you will probably already have been, your neighborhood will probably already been locked down.
Yeah.
Like I said, there's thousands of UN vehicles sitting outside of Jacksonville. Google Earth it. I'm trying to remember what the what coordinates were to that.
Yeah, we'll do a little looking into it and see what we can find.
There's, like I said, that one video that I got on YouTube showed, all through different states, people have basically compiled the video clips of all these shipping by railroad of mass amounts of armored vehicles, Bradleys, tanks, all this stuff. And one of them had railroad full, just kept going and going and going, of Chinese, Republic of China armored vehicles.
And we believe, make no mistake, people, we didn't buy those from China because we're low on supplies.
No.
That is their equipment.
If we can afford to be moving all this equipment around and doing all these war games and everything else, but we can't afford to close down our border?
Yeah.
Come on. Something's not right.
Yeah, exactly. We got problems over with our Mexican border, and they're worried about, policing our own citizens and locking us up, and why is that? Why is that?
Exactly.
Why are they doing this? Is this for money?
Why do they need these speed camps and these signs?
Right. Is this for money? For power? Power over who? What money? If you're going to do away with the money, then what money are you talking about? Are you going to lock up the poor people?
See, what it is they're going to try, and like I said, that endofamerica.com explains everything out. This has happened. Countries have done it all through history and all. You know what I'm saying? Every time they try and do what our government has done,
not to cut you off, Paul, but we got about 10 seconds left, and I do appreciate everybody for listening. Get on Talk Shit, see what we talked about, and everybody, you have a good night, and we'll talk to you next week.
Bye, y'all.